All right, our first guest is Greg Rollett, and let me start with a quick little intro. So Greg started his first business at age 17. He has partnered with multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses in media and marketing and PR. He's a multi-time best-selling author, Emmy-nominated producer, given a talk at United Nations, filmed a pilot episode for a travel show, has been featured on Fox News, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, USA Today, Inc. Magazine,
the list
and
goes
Wall
on
Street
and
Journal.
on.
I'm exhausted doing his intro.
Yeah.
He's the CEO of Celebrity Expert Marketing and CEO and founder of Ambitious.com, and my good friend. What's going on?
It doesn't get any better than that. This interview is not going to go any better than your intro. I'm telling you. What's happening, man? This is fun.
Yeah, so finally getting it launched. I think it was literally a year ago this month when you told me I should be doing a podcast, and we're finally here.
Finally here. We made it. You did it. That's the thing that matters, right?
Right, that's the thing that matters, yeah. To get started.
I mean, we got fancy microphones.
Got fancy microphones.
I mean, this is legit.
Try and do it right.
You got to.
Work in the music business, and, can't have a Joe Schmo, shabby, crappy podcast.
Not at all.
So I sent a tweet out of it today, which is kind of like fitting, about the awesome part about life is always, and it kind of fits your story, like always trying new things. So like this podcast is a new thing, and hopefully we have some really cool interviews and so on. But like that's kind of like, I don't know what your story's about, trying new things, right?
Yeah, like everything's about trying new things, because otherwise we just get in the comfort zone and life becomes monotonous. And excitement in life, happiness from life, success from life comes from trying new things. I had a guy in last week into the studio. We were creating a live masterclass with him, and he said, how do you know if you're the next Picasso if you've never picked up a paintbrush?
Right.
How do you know if you're the next Bono if you've never stepped into a recording studio? How do you know if you're the next Stephen King if you've never written anything before? And it doesn't have to just do with creativity, but how do you know if you're not the next Mark Zuckerberg if you've never coded a line of code? So by trying new things, it allows us to express who we really are. I think everyone inside has like their own genius, their own spark, their own light, whatever you want to call it. But it takes stepping out of your comfort zone. It takes trying new things to find that. And I think every stage of my life, the good that's come out of it has come from trying new things. I was like, at 16, I was like, hey, let me try this new thing. Let me try freestyling on the block.
Right.
And that turned into, starting a record label at 17, as it says, as my first business, because I wanted to be Master P. And for those that are only listening to the audio version of this, I'm a suburban white dude. Now I'm like the married civilized white guy. So me thinking about me as a rapper is a far tone, but it was all because I wanted to try a new thing and started the music thing. And then now, like, my new thing is I want to be a TV show host. So I went and we shot a pilot for a reality show. We're getting it funded on Kickstarter right now. We're about to do 5 episodes. I'm talking to production companies from all the major networks right now about hosting other, like, it's just an effort of trying new things. If I was too comfortable to say, I kind of like my life. I would like to host some TV shows, but I'm not actually going to do it. Well, then you don't get those opportunities.
Right, exactly.
And I think today, musicians, artists, creatives are so lucky because if you have an idea, you can just do it.
Right.
Like if you want to go shoot a music video, get your boys together, get your iPhones out and shoot a music video. Like you don't need, when I was first getting started, I mean, this is like TRL days. Like if you wanted to get on TRL, these guys were spending $500,000 to $1 million on like a Spike Jonze music video.
Right.
Now, like, go shoot it with your iPhone. And these kids are way more talented than the guys charging $500,000 back in the day. So the opportunity through media is there. But you're right. You do have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to try something new. And so I applaud you for trying something new today. And I'm hogging the mic from you as we get started.
It's all good. You're making my job easy for me today.
Exactly. And so, but everything good that's come out of my life has been a result of trying something new.
Right.
Generally, for me, that's been through entrepreneurship and opening new businesses and trying to add value through businesses. And, just even like from what we did, like we at Rock for Hunger, you tried something new. You started a nonprofit organization, and I tried something new by saying, hey, I'll jump on the board. I didn't know anything about, helping homeless people. I didn't really know anything about, throwing big rock concerts, but I was like, let me try something new. And I think, our friendship came out of that, but so many great things came out of it. We helped people get jobs. We put thousands of people into our events, but it took both of us going, screw it, let's try something new. I'm sure you knew exactly what you were doing, back then in college, starting that organization. I know your path through the music industry, like you kept trying something new. You're like, let me revitalize this music venue. Now let me try this music venue. Then let me try this venue. Yeah. And every time they got better, it would have been very easy for you to get complacent and been like, cool, I'm booking shows at this venue. It's going good. But you were ambitious enough to say, like, let's go to the next venue. Let's go to the next place. Let's go bigger. Let's go to freaking New Orleans and try to take over, one of the biggest music cities in the country.
Right. It's like you said, like, how are you supposed to know, like, what you're good at and what your passions are if you aren't trying things? Like, whenever people ask me, like, when I'm talking to students, like, what should we, like, where should I go? I'm like, just do something. Like, if you have an itch, then try it out. Like, you hear different things, like try an itch out for 2 weeks, try it out for 90 days. So I'm like, my thing is try it for 90 days. And do you have something that you recommend people if they have an interest? Like, should they try it out for 90 days? Should they try it for?
Yeah. So here's the first thing for most of us in the context of what we're talking about today. If you try, I think people are scared to fail.
Yeah.
But the truth be told, if you start this podcast and you do it for 90 days and no one listens, no one's even going to remember that 92 days from now.
Right.
Like, the worst case scenario is you just recorded 90 days worth of episodes, met awesome people, had great conversations, and you built your network. Like, that's worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And I think most people's worst case scenarios, they play it out in their head like, oh my God, no one's ever going to talk to me anymore, or I'm going to embarrass myself, or dude, I don't remember like what I watched yesterday or listened to yesterday. And so we're very forgiving people. There's really nothing to be afraid of. When you put your music out there, no one watches your video, no big deal. Like, that's the worst case scenario. When in context of like, should I go out and like, for me, it was, when should I quit my job and start my business full time? And again, I think we're scared about what's on the other side of that. What happens if I fail? What happens if my business doesn't do well? What happens if I go on tour and it's a complete disaster? Well, guess what? When you come back, you can get your bartending job again.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you can get a different bartending job. Like that worst case scenario for most of us. Now, a little different position I'm in now. Like, I got 2 kids, I got a wife, I got like, I'm in a different situation now than I was when I was 23, 24.
You can't just take a full-on risk and like let everything go. Like, you still have some kind of responsibility now that you have to, like,
right. But if you're 20, if you're high school, college, just out of college, even mid-20s into late 20s, and you don't have that overhead or those responsibilities, the worst thing that can happen is you go back to where you are now.
Right.
Like, people are like, well, yeah, you can just go back and get the job. Like, you're working at like Kohl's, go get a job at, Walmart. Like, it's, it's, so I think that's the biggest thing to your point about like, just get started is, just get started. Give yourself, so we talk about Tim Ferriss, someone we both really like and respect. So he did, when he first launched his podcast, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was, I'm going to do 4 episodes or I'm going to do 8 episodes.
Right.
I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah.
Now it's turned into $1 million plus business for him,
podcasting,
and it's been several years of it. But give yourself those limiters. Say, all right, I'm going to, like, for you, you're doing this huge Twitter thing right now, and it's freaking awesome, but you're like, I'm going to commit to it for 12 weeks. And if at the end of 12 weeks, I'll reevaluate, like, was this good? Was this productive? Did it help grow my business? Did it help not grow my business? And I'll make a decision. But you do it for 12 weeks. Well, guess what? Now you got 12 weeks of data, new fans, people that know you, that don't know you. You're getting new introduction. Like, just, you have to get out and start.
Well, when to be an entrepreneur, you kind of have to fail to learn from your mistakes and to like build that business that you want to build. I mean, shoot, you've built several businesses since I've known you, and
not all of them are successful, right? Of course not. And here's the thing. So, talking about failure, I don't set out with the intention to fail. Right. I think that's the wrong mindset. There's a lot of, if you go to like Instagram and you see these motivational quotes and it's like, you have to fail so you can learn. Like, I don't set out to fail. Like, I don't want to fail.
Yeah, nobody wants to fail.
I want
hopefully
your Twitter thing to go great. I want my TV show stuff to go great. But you do learn from some of your mistakes and you make them better. Yeah. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change a little bit. Even with ambitious.com, we're just a little over a year old. We've pivoted 3 times. I don't consider any of it a failure, but you start going down one direction and you're like, ooh, I don't really like that. Because again, I went out and I tried something, got feedback, and now I can adjust. I liken one of my favorite books of all time is by Michael Masterson. It's called Ready, Fire, Aim.
Okay.
And the context of the words that I want people to understand is most people in life go ready, aim, fire. And they get stuck in aim. And they get stuck in aim forever. So I'll just use the context of like, you want to start a podcast. So you get ready, cool, I want to go start a podcast. Then you get into aim. Oh, what microphone should I use? And that's like 6 months of like going to Guitar Center and looking at Amazon.
What questions should I ask?
Googling everyone. What questions should I ask? Who should I interview? What should the name of, for God's sake, like what should the name of my show be? You can agonize over that for like months.
Yeah.
And then the artwork. And so we get stuck in this aim forever. As a musician, again, it's like, hey, we want to go out and we want to record a new album. And then they get stuck in aim forever, which is, well, let's write new songs. Well, I don't like those songs. Let's write more songs. Or let's go and record them. Let's re-record the drums. I don't like the bass line. and all of a sudden 2 years have gone by, you don't have an album, and the fans who liked you 2 years ago don't care about you anymore because they've moved on.
Yeah.
And so Ready, Fire, Aim says, let's get ready, let's throw it out to the world, and let's get real world feedback. Even if it's not like, so in my band's case, when I was doing the music thing, like we recorded that CD in like 7 days or something,
right?
Like super fast. We did the artwork. I like called a buddy. We made the artwork in one night. We launched it. Was it the best album in the entire world? No. Like, I don't think the recording was even that good. But guess what? We got to put 1,000 CDs in people's hands, and we got to get feedback, and they would show up to shows. And so again, it doesn't always have to be perfect,
right?
But you don't get anywhere if you never do anything.
You just got to go, yeah. I mean, like a lot of people, I mean, especially with technology and things are moving so fast right now, if you're stuck in that AIM section for so long, like, yeah, you're never going to accomplish anything. You have to just go because people will forget and people will move on. So, yeah, that's actually a really great way to put it. Let's talk about your story a little bit. Like, I mean, what are you doing? Just so people get to know you a little bit. Like, what are you doing right now? Like, what?
I'm recording a podcast with my boy Chris G right now in the studios. So I run a company called Ambitious.com, Ambitious Media Group, and at Ambitious.com, what we do is we bring in the world's top entrepreneurial minds, experts from all over the world, and we bring them into our studio, and we have them come and teach 4-hour live masterclasses. Mm-hmm. So we bring these people in, and they teach for 4 hours live on the interwebs. It is 100% free to attend live. So many times people want to go online, they want to learn something, and they're like, oh crap, I got to pay $500 for this course, or $2,000 for this course, or even $100 for the course. We say that if you really want to learn this subject, and the subject could be, how do I validate an idea? How do I run Facebook ads? How do I shoot YouTube videos? We have one coming up on business etiquette. We have one with the nutritionist from the Orlando Magic talking about nutrition for high performance. So we have all these different courses, and if that really means something to you, show up live, and there's no cost. But then how we actually do monetize and we keep the lights on is that people can buy the recordings of those courses. So after the fact, we package them up and turn them into online educational classes. And it is fantastic. We run it, I liken it to like Good Morning America mixed with QVC. Okay. So it's like Good Morning America and the fact that it's live, it's run like a morning show. I get to host the thing, and we're moving multiple sets, multiple locations. We got a lot of cameras flying around, and then we sell. So on the class, we say, hey, if you like what you're watching now, you can buy now. And so there's it's a live component to something that is usually recorded and so much editing and stuff happening in post that we just give this live feel to it. And the audience loves it because they now get to interact with these people. They get to see them for free. We've broken down that barrier.
So can the audience engage in these?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So they get to, we break for 4 live Q&A sessions where the whoever that expert is gets to go back and forth, and they get to do all kinds of Q&A, and that person gets to help work on their business. And it has been really, really cool. It's running our own live TV show, and we're growing it as quickly as we can. We were doing one a week. Now we're doing 3 a week. Next month we start 5 a week. So we'll be doing basically every day, just like the Good Morning America. And then our plan is to then start to add more shows so that we are running like a 24/7 TV network for entrepreneurs. So that's kind of the long term, the growth strategy there.
That's really cool. I love it.
It is really cool. It's a lot of fun. I mean, the great part is when you see thousands of entrepreneurs watching your stuff live.
Yeah.
It's not something where they're just going to YouTube and finding it when they want. Like, they are committing to show up live, and they're learning. They're saying this, they've learned more in 4 hours with me than in 4 years of a university, and at zero cost. And that's been really rewarding. As part of my mission is to help 1 million people start a business before they turn 30, because I've done so much. I'm 33 now, and I've done more by 30 than most people have done in their entire lifetimes. Right. And again, it goes back to what I talked about earlier. It's all because I've stepped out of my comfort zone. I've tried new things, and I've started businesses. I believe that the business is the way to get anything that you want from life. A musician is a business.
Yeah, every artist is a business. What I always say.
Every artist is a business. 100% true.
And you got to treat it like one.
You have to. Yeah. And but by starting that business, so for me, it was the music business. Like, me starting my first business allowed me to meet you. We did Rock for Hunger. I got to play all those Rock for Hunger shows. I got to meet incredible bands from all over the world.
So going through that journey, so your first business was the label, like you started at 17. That was like supposed to be a hip hop label.
Yeah, it was a hip hop label. So I wanted to be like Master P. I wanted it to be like No Limit Records, because this dude, basically, no one wanted to give him distribution. No one wanted to book him for shows. No one wanted to record his album. So he's like, dude, I'll just do it myself.
Right.
And he started selling CDs out of the back of his trunk, and all of his own production, had his own in-house production crew. And I was like, let's just do that, because no one wants to like sign another white guy. This is right when Eminem was starting to like break out and all that stuff. I'm like, and I didn't want to be him. Definitely didn't want to be Vanilla Ice or Marky Mark of the Funky Bunch. And so I was like, well, let's just do our own thing, and let's just make music for us. Let's make music for who I was and my people. And I signed myself as the first artist, and my buddy Mike Barnett. We were called the Burglas with 2 Z's because that was just so
Nice.
cool when you're 17. And I worked at restaurants on the weekends. Back in high school, and I took all that money and I had a recording studio that charged $40 an hour. So I knew if I made $200 over the weekend, I can get 5 hours of studio time that week. And we went in and we recorded our album. I borrowed $1,000 from another friend. We pressed up 1,000 CDs, sold all of them our senior year of high school, and that was business numero uno. It
Nice.
was, but I think the big lesson from that is that we made it happen. We didn't wait. I think again, going to Ready Aim Fire, Ready Fire Aim, is that so many people wait. I'm going to wait until someone discovers me. I'm going to wait until someone gives me their studio.
You did at 17. That's
well,
crazy.
you have to do it. You have to know that no one is responsible for your future but you.
Right.
If you're not looking out for yourself, like no one. So, and this is hard because like you were my manager at one point in time when we were doing the music thing. At the end of the day, you worked really hard for us. But at the end of the day, if we weren't willing to work as hard or harder than you, it wasn't going to go anywhere. And I don't think my bandmates were willing to work as hard as I was. Definitely weren't willing to work as hard as you did.
We're the 2 hardest working people in the band.
Exactly. And so I think so many people try to place blame or their future on someone else. Like if you want a deal, go make a deal.
Right.
It's not just going to show up in your lap. These people that are YouTube overnight sensations, so Bieber, you hate on him, do whatever you want with him. But the guy every single day was shooting videos. His mom was shooting videos. They were editing them. He was talented, but he didn't wait for the deal to come to him. He pushed these videos out and he marketed the crap out of these videos, and that creates luck. Luck is created through you working your ass off and creating an opportunity. By being it's about being in the right place in the right time, but how'd you get to the right place at the right time? Right. Through a lot of hard work.
And most of those stories, when you look at them, like from artists that are like big time now, I mean, most of them didn't get famous overnight. It may appear that way on media.
It always appears that way.
A lot of them have been grinding for years. Bruno Mars got rejected by a label at least twice before he even made it quote unquote big time.
Yeah, we hear about Harry Potter books. Like she got turned down by how many publishers? Dozens of publishers. Right. Tim Ferriss turned down by every publisher 3 times. Chicken Soup for the Soul. 500 million copies of that book have been sold. They were turned down by over 100 publishers. They ended up getting picked up by a small Florida publisher who only gave them the publishing deal if they guaranteed 25,000 or 30,000 pre-sales of the book. It's the only way they would give them the publishing deal.
Imagine they would have given up. I mean,
and now that little small publisher sold half a billion in books.
That's crazy.
So you have to create your own opportunities.
So from your career, like when you run at the music career, like what is some advice that you could give to like people in the music industry trying to start off? Like,
yeah, my biggest advice, and you and I kind of worked through this together as we were doing it, and then I went and taught musicians this. Your future is in your list. It is in the fans that you cultivate and being able to have a place where you can intimately talk to them. For me, it's always been an email list. I remember we were playing like Lakeland one night, and you legit handed me and one of the other guys in the band a clipboard, and you gave us like CDs and T-shirts, and you told us to walk around and sell stuff, and if we didn't sell something, get an email address.
Right.
And that was the best thing we ever did, because when we went back to Lakeland, guess what? We emailed all those people in Lakeland, said, hey, we're coming back. And all of a sudden, there's people in Lakeland.
Right.
And that email list, I don't think having Facebook fans or people that like your page is the same as having an email list.
No.
I don't think that having Instagram likes or followers, whatever they call it, is the same as having an email list. You guys can make your own arguments for that, but I truly believe that email is the way that you make a living in the music industry, especially as a band that's starting up.
Okay.
Now, as you get to be Adele and you have millions of followers and your fans would paint themselves in your lyrics and different story. But as you're getting started out, the way you communicate with your fans is the number one thing you can do. It's the number one thing that I did, because I could say, hey, I have a new CD out, and guess what? I can email these people who are already interested in my stuff, and you make money.
But even artists like Adele, I mean, they're still utilizing the email list as well. I mean, there's still people subscribing to her email. That's how she gets new product out and that gets that additional sale. Like if she can get
totally. And then you can sell your VIP tickets that way. You can sell your meet and greets. I mean, there's so much you can do with email, and it is the most overlooked thing, because we want to look at the sexy thing. It's way sexier to post a cool picture on Instagram, put a filter on it, and get 10,000 likes, because it's instant gratification. You're like, cool, we're like growing our business. But out of those 10,000 likes, how many of them actually bought your stuff?
Yeah.
With an email, I know that if I say, hey, I got a new shirt, it's $25. I got 1,000 people on my email list, and I made 20 sales.
Right.
Holy crap! Let's do that again.
That kind of sounds a lot more attractive to a potential record label manager and anybody that you want to try to add on your team. Like they rather would see fewer people on your social media and more engagement than seeing a ton of people and nobody engaging.
Totally. Yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, you booked some of the top, bands, performers, in the world over the last decade, and you knew that all the time. You knew where there was inflated social media versus this person can actually draw in a city. And I think the best bands that you ever booked had that powerful email list. They had segmentation. They knew how to draw in that city. I mean, it's just what's crazy. You said it earlier. Every musician is a business. You have to treat it like a business. Yeah. It is like everything else. If I want to sell my hummus at a farmer's market, well, guess what? I got to show up to the farmer's market and I got to sell my damn hummus. Yeah. If I'm a musician and I want to sell tickets, I need to sell tickets. Right. And if you don't live in that city, like if you're playing halfway around the country, how you sell tickets is by building an audience, building a fan base, and then sending them cool stuff. Yeah. I mean, it really is marketing and business 101.
You have to engage people in that city. If you're not engaging and building your network in that city, then who's going to know who you are when you're coming to Seattle, Washington for the first time and you're from Florida?
Exactly. So thing number one, email list. Thing number two is my most vital thing is that if you want to make money as a musician, you need stuff to sell. So this seems like elementary, but if you only have one CD and you charge $10 for it, so Chris, if I had a CD and I sold it for $10 and you bought it, you can't buy anything else. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I've just made every dollar that I can make off of Chris. But if I have my $10 CD and he buys it and he likes it, well, maybe now he'll buy a $25 t-shirt and a $10 hat and a $3 button and a $2 sticker and a $20 tote bag and a $250 meet and greet. The more products you have, well, now instead of just being a $10 customer, maybe he's a $100 customer.
Well, with that CD that you sell for $10, you have to get their email, so
exactly
they will know when there's new product available next time you're coming to that city.
So product is huge. Doesn't mean that you need inventory. You can do print-on-demand services. You can do digital services. But if you only have one product, to your rabid fan base, you're out. Like you can't make any more revenue unless you get new fans. Much easier, and again, this is business 101, much easier and much less expensive to sell to somebody who already has bought something than to try to get somebody new to buy something. It's how hard it is to get a fan to listen to your music. Like no one wants to listen to another rock band. No one wants to listen to another rapper. Yeah. For God's sakes, like I don't want a free rap CD. I'd never want another one of those my entire life. Right. So knowing how hard it is to get a fan, if you actually get a fan, you should want to monetize them.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best kind of customer is a returning customer.
Yeah.
And you see it all the time when you see a band like on tour and they only have like 20 people show up, but like these are 20 like hardcore fans. So the question is, how do you find more of those instead of like trying to get in front of 1 million people? Because if you can get 100 to 200 hardcore fans in each city, do that over 50, 60 different cities. I mean, the numbers add up real fast. Yeah.
You can make a living doing that. I mean, artists that you work with that put, 50 to 200 people in a room all around the country, and they make a nice, I mean, are they on MTV Cribs?
No, but guess what?
Doing
what they love full time.
They play music for a living.
Right. Exactly. What I also love about like your story is, the whole like, again, like we've been talking about it for a while now, but the whole never give up attitude. Like I remember after the music career, I know you've worked like a job that you didn't really enjoy, but like while you were doing that, like you were constantly like working on little side businesses. I mean, tell me about that journey, like a little bit.
Yeah. So many people give the excuse of, well, I got a day job. We all got freaking day jobs. Right. Like we all have stuff to do. Like right now in the middle of the day, like, you came in my office, I made time in the middle of the day, but like you came in, there was like meetings happening. Like we all have way too much to do. But if you really care about something, getting something, a result, a goal, or whatever it is, you'll find the time. Like we find the time to watch The Walking Dead. We find the time to binge watch on Netflix. If you really want a music career, if you really want to start a business, you will find the time. So I had a day job, right? There's nothing wrong with a day job. It wasn't for me, but I needed the day job to pay the bills. I got rent due at the end of the month. I got a wife who loves me and probably wants dinner on the table. And so I had to work a day job. But here's the thing. Day job it was about 9 to 5:30, I think is we'll just use those as the hours. Well, guess what? I woke up every day at 6 and I worked from 7 to 9 on my other business. I would write a blog post every morning and post that up so it would be there all day while I was at work, and it would collect comments and all that stuff. And then when I got off work, I would check and I would reply to comments. I would see how my email list was doing and all that stuff. At lunchtime, nearly every day, I would shoot a video or I'd be on a phone call. So I'd be trying to create a new affiliate partner, joint venture partner, or someone to promote my stuff, or I would be shooting a content video to put up on YouTube so people could find me. They find my YouTube video, then they go to my blog, and then, but I maximized every bit of time instead of just going to Chipotle for an hour and, reading a magazine. I was like, I'm going to go to Chipotle for an hour and I'm going to shoot a video, or I'm going to make an email, or I'm going to make a phone call, or I'm going to cold email someone. And it's maximizing every single day that you have this. Now, it took me 2.5 years at that day job to get to the point where I broke free. Looking back at like regrets and things like that, I think the biggest regret I had is not quitting sooner. I think this, again, isn't true for everyone. I couldn't do it today. If I had a day job today with the amount of overhead that I have, I couldn't do it. But if you're 25, cut the cord. Like the best entrepreneurs like jump off a cliff and they build the parachute on the way down, or they build the plane on the way down, or whatever it is. And again, if you can't, then go back and get a job.
Right. When do you think is the right time to cut the cord? Like just go all in?
Man, I do think at some level you need some momentum. Right. You need to show that you have some discipline, because if you don't have discipline when you have the day job, it doesn't get any easier when you now don't have the constraints of work. Because if you're on your own, man, trust me, man, like there are days like I mean, I'm like everybody else. I can play on Facebook for like 9 hours. Like, oh crap, I clicked on another video and then link open, and all of a sudden I'm like on some political rant somewhere. Like I'm just as guilty as the rest. So if you don't have that discipline, then cutting the cord to go be undisciplined on your own isn't good.
No.
Having some kind of momentum, I think, is important. So knowing that you're blogging, you're shooting videos, you're podcasting, you got an album coming out, you have something to work for. So I think if you have those two things, go for it. Because you're never going to be I heard this in the context, so I have young kids. My youngest just turned 2, and someone came up to me and they said, he's never going to be 1 again. I never get 1 back. Right. So if you're 24, 25, 27 listening to this, you are never going to be 27 again. So why not freaking go have the best 27 year of your life that you ever possibly could and try to do this damn thing? Yeah. Because you're going to be 40.
Right.
You're going to blink. Like I blinked. I got a 2-year-old and almost a 4-year-old. Like blinked. And, we're not getting any younger, and you're going to regret not doing those things way more than you're going to regret like, dude, I gave it my all and I had to go back and get a day job.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with like, it's not even failing. There's nothing wrong with trying something as long as you're giving your all and you're trying to do the best you can. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. Well, but at least you try.
Big thing you said there was giving it your all. I think most people half-ass it. Yeah. I think most people say, all right, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go for my dreams. And they show up to the studio for like 2 hours, like 2 times a week. And the rest of the time they're playing like Halo.
Right.
Like
we can't do that.
That's not giving it your all. Yeah. Giving it your all is, I'm going to quit my job, but best believe every minute of every day I'm hustling. I'm trying to get another interview on another show. I'm trying to get somebody else my album so they can review it. I'm meeting new producers. I'm going to networking events. I'm driving to new cities. I'm going to shows just to meet people and meet the sound guy. And like, if you really are giving it your all, then you got nothing to regret.
Right. I totally agree. Now, what did that transition look like when you finally quit the day job and went full time? Like, what was it that gave you that confidence to finally do it?
So momentum. So I had a product that I was about to launch. So in this space, it was in the internet marketing space. Okay. So I was actually selling a product for musicians, teaching them how to grow their music business using a lot of the strategies we're talking about today. It's about 10 years ago. And I had a product launch coming out, and I had been blogging nearly every day, emailing my list. I built up a list of, I don't remember, like 10,000 or so musicians who wanted to hear from me because they liked some of the advice that I was giving. And so I had this product launch coming out, and I was like, if I can get a certain percentage of these 10,000 people to buy at $50 a piece, I can pay for my rent for a couple months on this one launch. So I'm going to put up all my energy, focus, energy, attention on this launch, and let's give it our all. And if it completely bombs, well, then guess what? I'll go get another job. Right. But let me give it my all. Let me give it, I think at that time it was the same deal as you. Let me give it 90 days.
Right.
If I haven't created enough income in over 90 days to pay for my mortgage or pay for my rent, then I'll go back. But good news is I did, and I never went back, which is awesome. But I pulled that cord and gave myself 90 days. And the crazy thing, so there's been 2 events that have skyrocketed income-wise. One is that day that I quit the job. So I basically went from making a couple dollars here and there on the side to making a full-time living virtually overnight when I made that decision. The second was when I found out my firstborn, Colton, my wife was pregnant with Colton. Tripled my income between the time that I found out he was born and when he was actually born.
Right.
Because I'm not very much like a church-going person, but I believe that, when given those opportunities, we rise to the occasion when we have to step up.
Absolutely.
And so I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to be a dad. You're going to have to put this in the expletive iTunes because I'm cursing a lot here today.
That's right.
But I was like, oh, crap, like, I got a kid. Like, I got to pay bills. Like, I got, like, and I really... I stepped up. The opportunity was presented to me, and I did my job, and I stepped up and nearly tripled my income because you rise to the occasion. Mm-hmm. So,
well, one good thing I learned too is, like, I mean, I've definitely several times have had jobs and given them up to try a new thing, and I think one of the things you learn too, because like it's so easy to say just give up your job, but really, like, once you've gotten that job, like the thing I've learned, it may have not have like created a 6-figure business yet or a 7-figure business, but I am really confident at like being able to give up a job, and then if it's a business I'm trying to, new route I'm trying to try out, if it doesn't work, I'm very confident of getting a job back. Like, and I think that's something you build too. Like, I think that's something you learn from those experiences.
Yeah, I love that, because every time there is that safety net. If you're a competent person, there's work for you.
Right.
And so I don't think you need to be scared of the fact that you have to go back to work. I also don't think that it should be embarrassing. I don't think that it should be looked down upon. I think you should be rewarded for the fact that you at least tried to do what you want to do, because everyone who else you're going to go work with is going to be envious of you, because at least you freaking had the balls to try it.
Right. And at the worst, you're bringing new skills to the table too. Like, hopefully through that journey, you've learned some new skills. I have every single time.
Yeah.
And those are new skills that I can now bring to the table when looking for a job again.
Love it.
Yeah. So I mean, you talk a lot about ambitious.com. Are you still doing the celebrity expert marketing? And what is that about?
Yeah, totally. So when I kind of reached the peak at selling the stuff to musicians that I was just talking about, so I was teaching musicians essentially how to market themselves online. I met a guy. His name was Nick Nanton. He was an entertainment attorney in Orlando, signed some really cool bands, worked with guys like A Day to Remember and some cool bands like that. And he saw an article that I wrote for Mashable. So again, I think luck is the result of hard work that puts you in the right place at the right time. So I was writing a lot of articles for other websites, which is another tip in and of itself.
I remember you blogging a lot.
And so I blogged for anyone who would take an article for me. I would write something for them. Right. And this one article was published on Mashable.com, one of the leading social media sites on the planet. And Nick read it, and he's like, hey, we should have some lunch. And I'm not one to shy down from an opportunity, especially from someone who I viewed as successful at the time. Mm-hmm. And he basically said, hey, all that stuff you're doing for musicians, why don't you do it for people, that are entrepreneurs and have, 6, 7, 8-figure businesses.
People that actually have money.
People that actually have money. I was trying to not go that route, considering a lot of musicians are going to listen to this. But yeah, he's like, instead of, selling it to musicians who, very difficult for a musician to pony up money to hire a business coach or a marketing coach. I mean, I know how hard it is just to get them to print flyers for a show.
Right.
Nonetheless, buy from some online dude. So it was a great opportunity. And we started a couple companies together. I'm now a partner at the Celebrity Branding Agency, and essentially we brand people like most agencies brand companies. So we turn the financial advisor, the lawyer, the doctor, the chiropractor, the real estate agent into a celebrity in their marketplace, and we do that through media. What's really cool is we both come from the music industry, and basically what we've done is we've taken the things that we learned from the music industry and we've applied it to traditional business. So where a dentist doesn't obviously need a CD, well, he does need a book.
Right.
He does need to get on TV. He does need to get interviewed. He does need to be on podcasts. He does need to be in major magazines and newspapers. He needs what we call a sizzle reel, which is like a business person's version of a music video that gets people hyped about who he is and what he does and why they want to work with them. And it's funny that the same things that apply to a musician do apply to a business owner, and the same things that apply to a business owner apply to a musician. It's one and the same. Right. You're just selling music as opposed to selling dentist services. They really are the same at the end of the day. And so really big business. I mean, we're talking somewhere between 40 and 50 in-house employees now. You're hanging out in the penthouse studio where we got now. We have multiple filming locations. We're actually demoing the room that's right behind us, turning into another studio. This is where we do all our live shows. And so, yeah, I mean, it's been a heck of a ride. I think we're up to, about 2,900 clients in 38 different countries around the world, Inc. 5,000, like all kinds of fun stuff.
That's awesome. And like, you're not busy enough already with that. You decided to launch ambitious.com. So what was the motivation factor behind that?
Totally. So we were in a room with a guy by the name of Peter Diamandis. He wrote a book called Bold and a book called Abundance. I would read Bold. Bold will change the way you think about everything in life. And it's all about how technology's grown in an exponential way, and the reason why we need to be thinking more bold. Most people think really small. If you think that you're only going to sell 1,000 copies of your CD, well, you're not going to sell 1 million. If you think you're going to sell 1 million, you sell 100,000, you still won. And so it's all about having this big, bold, abundant thinking. And we were in his offices, the X Prize offices. So just quick context, this guy, Peter Diamandis, he's got multiple billion-dollar companies. One of them, his side project, he sends rockets to asteroids and mines them for resources. That's his side project. Wow. That's like, hey, I don't got anything to do this weekend. Let's build a rocket. Let's send it to an asteroid and let's bring down oil. Like, jeez. So that's the way this guy thinks. He's also got a company called Human Longevity, where he's trying to make 100 the new 60, where 100-year-olds are going to be just as active as 60-year-olds today. He thinks that we're going to live to 130, 140. He sold the technology to Richard Branson for Virgin Galactic, so he pioneered privatized space flight. I mean, the guy's just ridiculous. But anyway, so we're in his office. And he asked Nick and I to start thinking of how to 10x our business. And there's a lot of business coaches out there that really rah-rah on Facebook or Instagram. They're like, 10x your business, like 10x. But most people don't ever really think about what does 10x mean. And at the time, we had about 2,300 clients, so 10x in that would be 23,000. And it took us about 8 years at the time to get to 2,300. And Nick and I kind of looked at each other. We're like, do we want 23,000 clients? Like, that sounds like not the business that we want, nor can we do the same thing 10 times harder to produce the results. Like, we were already maxed capacity with our own workload, and we were building a sales team and all this stuff. So we started to take a look back at how can we grow the business exponentially without killing ourselves. And what we learned was that he who owns the media has all the control. So most of us want to rent the media. So if you're a musician, you want to get on the radio. You don't own or control the radio station does. They have all the power. You want to get on a top tier podcast or a top tier blog. You don't own that blog. Someone else does. Well, what if you controlled the media? What if you created your own media platform? And so that's where kind of this idea came about, that we should start owning and controlling our own media. Just so happened that the domain ambitious.com came up for sale, and we purchased it, and we started setting out to build our own media platform. Like I said, over the past year and a month or two, it has morphed a few times, but now our goal is for it to become an online TV network for entrepreneurs, and the leading one at that, where we do live education to help entrepreneurs to start a business, grow a business, or live a more ambitious life. And so that's kind of the thinking was, if we own and control the media, people will come to us and we'll have all the power. And, we'll have all the eyeballs, we'll have the advertisers, we'll have the course creators, we'll have all the control, just like the radio stations have all the control and the venues have all the control. Like, why don't we have all the control?
That's cool. And then right now with Ambitious, like what's Ambitious Adventures? That's a new reality TV show you guys are launching?
Yeah, so because I'm bored, I was down in the Dominican Republic shooting a documentary this past January. We were shooting a documentary on a organization called Esperanza. They give microloans to female entrepreneurs there. So a microloan might be like $100, and they give it to this female business owner, and they lend it to her, and they have a 99-point-something% repayment rate on these loans to help these women start businesses, a chicken shack, a corner store, a water business, whatever the case is. And we're down there filming this documentary, which is a fantastic documentary. And I'm talking to the film crew. The film crew works a lot in like reality TV, stuff like that. So I'm drinking one too many tequilas. And I kind of told them that, I really do want to host a show. Like, one of my, I think, unique abilities is my ability to interview people, to have conversations, to, like, I'm not working off notes or anything for today. This is all just off the top of my head. I can, I'm good behind a microphone. At least I think I am. The world might judge differently. And I was like, well, I kind of want to host a show. Living in Orlando, Florida, there's not many TV producers and production companies like knocking on my door to give me my own show. So we kind of just said, screw it, let's just shoot our own show. So I had this idea to travel the world and do a travel show, but instead of seeing like the taco joint or the barbecue store or whatever, I wanted to see it through the eyes of young entrepreneurs, people in their 20s and 30s who are completely revitalizing communities, the economy, giving jobs, all of that fun stuff. So we ended up shooting a pilot over in St. Petersburg, Florida, where down on Central Avenue, young people are basically have revitalized the entire Central Avenue. New businesses, everything from fashion stores to yarn stores to breweries to coffee shops to you name it. And it's all 20-something, 30-something entrepreneurs who are taking the risk and opening these stores. And they're responsible for just about $1 billion in economic development in downtown St. Pete. We're talking apartment complexes and parking garages and shopping centers. And like there's a Whole Foods moving in and movie theaters coming in, all because these young people took risks. And now there's hundreds of new jobs, thousands of new jobs potentially in the next 5 years. There's now housing coming into the area. And so I was like, wow, there's something here. And so now we shot the pilot. Pilot came out pretty good. So we are we're doing a Kickstarter campaign right now to actually raise the money to shoot the next 5 episodes. As the time that we're shooting this, I think we're darn close to the goal. We haven't reached it yet. And, we're going to go and shoot 5 more episodes. We are going to be shopping this to production companies and TV networks and all that. But again, I'm not counting on that.
Right.
If I get picked up by ABC or ABC Family or Travel Channel, then we win.
Awesome,
but if we don't, we have secure distribution with the Apple TVs and the Rokus and the Amazons of the world, the Xbox One and PlayStation Live and all these online networks where we're going to get distribution, and we're going to just produce our own TV show.
Right.
Now, the cool thing to bring context to this is that if I go to La Crosse, Wisconsin is one of our cities. Who the heck thought that there was anything happening in La Crosse, Wisconsin? Nonetheless, this young entrepreneur scene where all these 20-year-olds are creating new healthcare companies, new healthcare devices, new virtual reality companies. I mean, all this tech in freaking La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Right.
And if you watch an episode and you get inspired and you're like, man, I want to do that too, well, then guess what? You can come back to ambitious.com and learn how to do it. Mm-hmm. And so now we have the platform to not just entertain you and inspire you and motivate you, but now we can also train you so that you can do it too. So that's really where it comes full circle. So yes, selfishly and egotistically, I want to host my own travel show, but there's a higher purpose in that it is entertainment to inspire, motivate, entertain, but also for the few folks who see it and they go, holy crap, that could be me. Now we also have an entire platform and network to help them start a business, grow a business, or live a better life.
That's really cool. I love it. I mean, the key thing, I guess the key takeaway from all this, especially for people in the entertainment industry or people that are creators, like whenever I listen to podcasts or read stuff, there's such a big focus on on creating content, create as much content as you can, create content from your content. So I feel like that's a big takeaway. Well, it's cool. You've been doing that ever since I've known you. Since you were 17, you were always focused on creating content, which is kind of why you're ahead of the curve now.
Yeah, I mean, even just when we were doing Rock for Hunger stuff, our blog posts got thousands of views for a little local, organization about helping the homeless in Orlando, and it was our blog post that spurred everything. I mean, it's funny, even to this day, we have blog posts about our Thanksgiving breakfast. I still get emails asking about that, and I personally haven't done those breakfasts. 7 years, 8 years. I mean, I don't know, but those blog posts still live online, and you're creating an asset. That's what's crazy. Is this podcast, someone, yes, they might listen to it right when you launch this, but if they discover this podcast 3 years from now, and they can still go back and listen to this episode, you're creating an asset.
Right.
And that is the power of content and creating your own media. And that's why having your own podcast is so important. Having your own video show is so important. Right. Owning your email list is just so important because you have the control and you're building an asset that can just live on forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I know we're running out of time. Just a couple quick little, doesn't have to be rapid fire questions, but just a little couple quick questions to end it. Tell everyone about an app or recent discovery that everyone should be using to grow their business.
Whoa, that's a heavy loaded question. I am addicted to Slack.
Slack
right now.
Okay.
So it's like a chat /email /team communication thing, but I have my entire team on it. A lot of I coach and consult a lot of folks, so I have them on it too, and just great way to it's instant messenger plus email on crack for your team. Okay. And I love it, and it's free, so Slack. Even better.
Awesome. So one of my big focuses always in life has been focusing on health. I feel like it's really important to focus on your health, to be a successful entrepreneur and be able to have the energy to focus on your business. What do you do? I know you've had phases. I don't know if you currently are keeping healthy or.
This is great. So I think the biggest struggle that I have is with the healthy lifestyle. I 100% believe in it. I agree with it. I study it. I've read more books on it than entrepreneurship and marketing. But I personally have a struggle with it. I have a struggle with choosing the right nutrition options. I have a struggle with, a lot of that stuff. But every time that I do it, I'm more productive. I'm more focused. My words come out more, clearly. I find the right word when I'm trying to, speak on podcasts like this. And so I wholeheartedly believe in it. I can say that one thing that I'm into and that has been consistent regardless of all the other crap that I do to myself is in the mornings I do intermittent fasting in the mornings, but I have a bulletproof coffee.
Okay.
So I believe in the bulletproof coffee, the healthy fats, getting all that into you in the morning, the coconut oil, the MCT oil, and that starts my day in a really good way. And then I fast, and then I don't eat till about 12:30 or so, where I make usually a bad decision for lunch. But I do believe that nutrition fuels everything for you.
Right,
like if you're a musician about to go on tour and you're eating fast food every single stop, like it is going to take a toll on you.
It's going to affect your performance.
It's going to affect your performance. You're not going to have the stamina. You know, you're gonna be groggy. You're gonna be sleepy. You're gonna have bags under your eyes. You're like all that stuff. Health is so fundamental to everything that you do, but it's not easy. I mean, I wish I could say that I was perfect. It is a constant struggle,
right.
But it's one that is worth fighting for, because if you don't have your health, nothing else matters.
Yeah, totally agree. What's your definition of making it?
My definition of making it is being able to be there for the people that mean something to you when they need it. So what I mean by that is, if you had asked 23-year-old Greg, and I'm sure you asked 23-year-old Greg when he was 23 this question, I would have said the big house, the big cars, a gold chain, because I was into hip hop, so I wanted the spinny chain, the materialistic things. It's not to say that I don't want a lot of that stuff now. Like if someone dropped a Bentley off of my house, I wouldn't return it. But I think where making it for me, and this is where I think that part of me has made it and then part of me hasn't, is I'm home every single day at 5 o'clock. And I don't touch my phone. I don't touch email. I don't touch anything from 5 o'clock to 8:30, because I'm there with my kids. I'm there for Jen. I take them to school. I'm there on the weekends. We're huge into baseball, so we were doing spring training like every day. Like on a Tuesday, I'd be like, screw it, we're going to a spring training game. On a Thursday, spring training game. We're going to Rays games and Marlins games. And so it's being there for those people, because again, going back to the fact that you'll never be 27 again, my son will never be 1 again.
Right.
And so I really want to be there. And I have really set up my business in a way that allows me to do that. So with Ambitious Live, we talked about the fact that I do these 4-hour live classes. Well, I do them from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock Eastern. And the reason I do that is so I can be out the door at 5:15.
Right.
And would I get better viewership if we did it from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night? 100% I believe that we would have more people watching if we did it at a more convenient time for them. Right. But it's not convenient for me.
Right.
And I wanted to build a business around my own convenience, because I want to be home for the kids. I don't. If I was gone from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock 5 nights a week, why am I working so hard?
Yeah.
I'm working hard for that. So I think that's part one. Part two of making it, it's actually making a difference. And so, like I said, we want to impact 1 million people to start a business before they turn 30. So every day, like I get these emails from people, I get, messages, and it's the impact that we're making. It's a butterfly effect. So if I can help Chris create a business, and now Chris has 100 customers, that butterfly effect just went 10 times further. And so those two things are just really, really powerful to me, is the difference that I can make in the people's lives that matter to me, and then in the lives of the people that I affect.
Awesome. What's something that somebody can do today, like a piece of advice that they can do to get one step closer to making it?
Create one piece of content. One piece. One blog post, one podcast, one video. I'll put a caveat to that. Make it not necessarily controversial, but have an opinion about something. So no one likes wishy-washy people. And I'm guilty of this because I'm a people pleaser. I want everyone to like me. So, but at the same time, I believe wholeheartedly in a very few important things. I believe that everyone needs to create a media platform. I've been yelling at Chris for probably years, at least 1 year, that if you want to really be the top music business coach, which I think you have the skills to do it, but you have to show the world that you have the skills to do it. It is my opinion, but I take this opinion as expert authority advice. You have to have a media platform. If someone goes, oh, cool, Chris, I met you at an event, you're really cool, and then they go and Google you and you have nothing else that says that you're an expert, well, they won't find it. So even if you're a musician, talk about why you wrote your song, how you wrote the song, what is the song about? Go behind the music. If you are trying to get into the music industry, talk about how to book a show. This is how you should book a show. This is the things, they're opinions, but have an opinion of authority. I got this from a good friend, Sally Hogshead. I got to give credit where credit's due, but have an opinion. It's why guys like Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman, you love them or you hate them, but they have a very, very strong opinion. And it's built their fan base exponentially. Bands that have found subcultures and sub niches do much better than yes, Taylor Swift appeals to kind of everybody. I got it, but there's only one Taylor Swift. There's a lot more niche musicians that are making a living than there are Taylor Swifts in the world. So have an opinion about something and create just one piece of content. Go blog. Go write a podcast. Go shoot one video. And here's the big kicker. It doesn't matter which one it is. So blogs aren't dead. You know what's dead? Shitty blogs.
Right.
Blogs that aren't written well, that don't have a hook, that don't have a story, that don't have a good headline, they're dead. Blogs that have a good headline and a good story and a good hook still get read by the millions upon millions upon millions. Podcasts. There's a ton of podcasts. There's a ton of interview podcasts. What's going to make yours stand out? Videos. It's a ton of people can turn on their phone and shoot a video. Doesn't mean that everyone should. Why should they listen to you? It's your opinions of authority. Right. I think that they get that. So that's what they need to do as soon as they stop listening to us today.
I love it. And the last thing is, where can people find you?
Yeah, I'd love it if they just went to ambitious.com. They can learn about a lot about what we have, and they can sign up for one of our upcoming live classes. Again, typically we have somewhere between 3 and 5 live classes a week on any subject imaginable, from marketing and advertising to idea validation to speaking to throwing events to writing books to, anything imaginable that has to do with starting a business, growing a business, or living a better life or a more ambitious life, as we say it. I'm just Greg Rollett everywhere. I made it really easy on the social stuff. Really, Facebook and Instagram is where I hang out. I have a Twitter account, but I just really retweet stuff when people say nice things about me. But you guys can find me there, and obviously anyone who's checking out your stuff, I'll make sure I look around for that too.
Awesome. We did it.
We made it, man.
We made it.
We didn't even need to take tequila shots. That would have made it more fun.
That would have made it more fun. We should do that next time.
Next time.
Hey, everyone. Thank you all again so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the Making It podcast. Next week, we have an interview with the owner of the Black Zillions MMA gym in Boca Raton, Florida, Mr. Glenn Robinson. The Black Zillions MMA gym is a gym where fighters such as Rashard Evans and Anthony Rumble Johnson train. But until then, try new things, be good to people, and in the words of one of my all-time favorite artists, Bob Marley, live the life you love.